Hey guys, welcome to Photofix, and today we'll be going through the step-by-step process of editing this photo. This photo belongs to Dirty Studio. Shout out to Dirty Studio for this amazing photo. I'll put a link to their Instagram profile in the description in case you want to check them out. I downloaded this image from Signature Edits. On their website, you can get raw practice photos for free. I'll put a link to their website in the description as well. So let's get started with it. Alright guys, here we are in Photoshop and this is Camera Raw filter. I'll make some adjustments to this image in Camera Raw filter before we proceed to Photoshop. So this is okay. So I'll just leave it this way and continue the rest in Photoshop. In 5 steps, we will complete editing this photo. So getting started with step 1, I'll crop the image to a suitable size. I will make use of the Instagram size preset right here, which is 4:5. I think this is okay, good enough. So we've escaped the clothing around there. So now we have just our image without the clothing. So after the first step is completed, we'll proceed to the next step. So the first thing I'll do is to Ctrl+J twice to create a frequency separation group. I'll select the 2 layers, I'll group them. I'll rename the group, I'll rename the group FS, which means frequency separation. And then layer 1, I'll rename layer 1 as low frequency, which is low F. And then layer 1 copy as high frequency, which is high F. So once that's done, I go to my low frequency, straight to the top bar, I click on filter, blur, Gaussian blur, and then I think 10 should do. We'll go with 10 for our radius. Once that's done, I would like to uncheck my high frequency to ensure that my Gaussian blur has effect on the image, which we can see that it does right here. So then I'll check this high frequency bar and then I'll proceed to my top bar, click on image, apply image. My layer must be on the right one, which is low frequency. And then my color channel should be correct, RGB. You can check out the settings right here to compare with yours to ensure that we are on the same page. And then my blending option will be subtract, my scale on 2, offset 128, and opacity 100%. Okay, so once that's done, I go to my blend mode right here and I change this to linear line. I like to uncheck and check the whole group together to see if there's any change or mistake in the frequency separation. So once we do that, I'll locate my mixer brush tool right here. So once you get your mixer brush tool, you can check out my mixer brush tool setting to confirm yours. I make sure this is unchecked while this is checked. My wet is on 30%, 30% load, 30% mix, 30% flow, and then 10% and 0 degrees. So you can check that out if it works for you. And then moving forward, I'll start with the blending with my mixer brush tool. I'll just forward this place a little bit so as not to take all of our time. Alright, so I'm done with the blending. So the next thing I want to do is to remove the blemishes on the skin on my high frequency with the clone stamp tool. You can use any tool that suits you for remover, but for me, I prefer my clone stamp tool. Alright, so get that started right away. So since we are done with this right now, we'll proceed to the next step, which is to create dodge and bond layers. So let's get started with that. I'll wait onto my adjustment layer. I'll create my curves adjustment layer and I will move this up a little bit, not too much, just enough to enhance our highlights. So once that's sorted, I will control I to invert or command I on Mac while I head back to my adjustment layer, click on curves again, and then bring this down, just the opposite of the first one, just enough to enhance our shadows. And then I control I again to invert. And then I name this dodge. We use this on our highlights, while I'll name this bond because we use this on our shadows. So I like to create a group for the two of them and name it dodge and bond. As you can guess, D and B. So we're done with the dodge and bond layer. But one thing I like to do again for my dodge and bond group is to create a white and black layer. That helps me to identify the exact places I want to dodge and I want to bond. If that works for you, you can do the same. So I head back to my adjustment layer and click and create a black and white layer. So I bring this down a little bit just to see my highlights vividly and my shadows vividly. So once we're done with that, we head on to our dodge layer and get ready to brush on the highlights. But then we need our soft brush to do that. So we'll make sure this is on black. I'll increase my radius to fit into what I need, and then we'll start to brush over the highlight while on the dodge layer. So in case you are still confused about how dodge and bond works, basically what dodge and bond does is to enhance the highlights and shadows. So we dodge the highlights and then we bond the shadows. So then once I'm done brushing over the highlights with my dodge layer, I head on to the bond layer and I brush over the shadow, as you might have guessed. So brush over the shadow, not too much, just good enough to pop our image a little bit more and give us that nice contour look. So once that's sorted, I can uncheck my black and white layer because right now I can see the effects of what I just did. So now we'll proceed to the next step, which is to change the background color and get rid of the shadows. I'll need a stamp visible layer to get this done. But before I create a stamp visible layer, I have a quick something I want to correct on my frequency separation. So right here, I want to adjust the hairstyle right here. So I'll just do this. So to change my background color, I'll need a stamp visible layer, and to do that, I'll create one by clicking on Ctrl Alt Shift E. So with that, I have a solid layer that I can work with. So afterwards, all I need to do is to select my object. You can use any selection tool that works for you best, but for me, I'll use my quick selection tool where I click on the select object button. So that should select the subject for me. So once that's sorted, I'll check through the edges to see if there's any mistake. Okay, there's no mistake, but I will ensure this is perfectly selected. Alright, that looks good enough. So once that's sorted, the next thing I will do is to inverse my selection. If I inverse my selection, I would like to take out this shadow. If you know another way to take it out, you can go ahead, but for me, I will use my clone stamp tool to take out the shadow. So I will increase the clone stamp tool, and then I will clone from the good side of the background to the shadow side in order to get rid of the shadow. Once I click from the good side, I brush over the shadows. Click on the good side, brush over the shadows. Just like that. Just like that. Just like that till we're done. So right now we've gotten rid of the shadows. No more shadows, no more shadows, no more shadows. So to change the color of my background, like I said, I would head on to my adjustment layers and click on solid color. So here I can just pick on any random color first. Yeah, click OK. Then I head to my blend mode and I click on multiply. So once I click on multiply, I can then go ahead and change the color to something else that I prefer. So for me, I'll just go with something around here. Once this is sorted, I click OK. So after this, you can notice some dents over the hair. I think we should be able to walk around that. Let's see how it goes. So I'll create an empty layer and then go ahead to my brush tool. Ensure my foreground color is white. Click OK, and then I'll click on my selection right here again by clicking on Control and left click. So that will give me my selection back, and then I'll increase my brush tool. I will increase my brush tool to something like this, and then I click just one left click, and then once that's sorted, I'll change this blend mode to screen. Once that's sorted, I can deselect and then reduce the opacity of that. So once that's sorted, I'll create a group for these two and name it background. So once we get that in place, the next thing we do is to enhance the lips, the eyeshadow, eyebrows, and make sure the eyes and teeth are white. So how I'll do that is, let's start with the lips. I'll go to my adjustment layer, click on my vibrance adjustment layer, and then I increase the vibrance a little bit, let's say to 15 should work. And then I head back to the adjustment layers and click on brightness and contrast, and then I take up my contrast to 10 should work. So afterwards I'll create a group for the two, and I will name these lips. So once I name these lips, don't forget to create a layer mask. So once you create a layer mask, you Control I to invert. So all our changes will not show on the image except on the places we brush on. So then we'll go ahead and brush on the lips because the adjustment is for the lips. So once we are done brushing, we can see that little pop right there. That's exactly what we wanted. And then moving on to the eyeshadow, we'll create another adjustment layer, which is vibrance as well, and then we'll take up our vibrance to, let's say, 25. We want to make this more visible, 25, and then adjustment layer here again, brightness and contrast, take this up to 10 should still do. So once that's sorted, we'll create a group for these two again and name it eyeshadow. So once that's sorted, don't forget to create a layer mask and then invert your effect. So once you invert the effect, we can brush on the aspect we want, which is once we're done with that, we can zoom out and check this and that. So you see that little pop on the eyeshadow? Yeah, that's what we want. Moving on to the eyebrows, click on, I'll need to create a curves adjustment layer. I'll just move this towards the right a little bit, let's say 4%. Yeah, that works for me. Then I Control I and invert. So after inverting with Control I, the next thing I'll do is to brush over the eyebrows. So once that's sorted, the next thing is brush over the hair. I would like to use the same layer for the hair. If you want to use another layer, you can go ahead and create another one that suits you. But for me, I think this works for the two. So afterwards, we create eye and teeth whitening layer. So we head on to our adjustment layer yet again and create a photo filter. So on the photo filter, we go with cooling filter, and then we make this 35. So once we make this 35, you can head back to adjustment layer and create black and white layer. I don't need to adjust anything on the black and white layer. Basically, I can just leave it that way, and then I create the clipping marks. So once I create the clipping marks on top of the photo filter, I go ahead to create the third adjustment layer, which is curves adjustment layer. Once I create the curves adjustment layer, I'll just increase this a little bit, just a little. So once I increase that, I'll also create a clipping marks. So once that's sorted, I'll click on this, Control I. So all our effects won't show until brush. So I'll create a group for this as well, and I will name the group eye and seats. Alright, so once that's sorted, I click on the photo filter, and then I brush over the eyes and the teeth. So we have that. So this is what we have. You can see that works fine. I'll reduce this to 75. I don't want it to be too artificial. Once that's sorted, we can proceed to the next step. So now, to create a skin tone, I'll head straight to my adjustment layer yet again. Go to levels adjustment layer. I'll just try to make a little pop here for the subject. We might definitely come back here to adjust some things, but for now let's leave it this way. And then once you're done with the skin tone, I'll erase the effect of the skin on the background, so it won't show on the background. It will just be for the skin alone. But for now, let's just focus on creating a very good skin tone. So once this is sorted, okay, so this is my levels adjustment layer. Once this is sorted, I proceed to my adjustment layer again, and then I will look for selective color. So once I click on selective color, I'll go ahead to my reds. I'll play around with the reds in order to get exactly what I want. Okay, let me put the yellow down a bit more, and then the blacks up. Yeah, then I can proceed to the cyan like this. Okay, afterwards I can go to the yellows, reduce the yellow from yellows, then increase the blacks and yellows. I don't want any magenta in it, so take that in as well. So yeah, I think we're getting close. So just make sure you get exactly what you want from your image right here. So once we have this, I think I like what I'm seeing right now. It brings out the melanin vibe, and then we don't have any unwanted color mixing with our skin tone. So let's leave this like this for now. If we need to come back to it, we will come back to it, but for now let's leave it like this. So now for our levels adjustment layer, I think maybe we should bring this in a little bit. Yeah, and then I think we're good this way. This looks fair to me. If we need to change anything, we'll head right back to this place. So and then afterwards, I said I'll erase the effect on the background. So to do that, I'll just group our two layers that are for the background with a group for them, and name it background. Don't forget to create a layer mask. Afterwards, you head back to our selection here in the background. So this selection is still useful. You just click on control and left click, it will show us our selection again. Yeah, so it's still useful. And then we come back here, click on this layer mask, and then we invert. So once we invert, we can see that all the effects of the skin tone is not showing on the background anymore. I just want to trim the edge of the hair a little bit. Let's see if we can get that done real quick. So I need a stamp visible layer to be able to do that. So to create that, I'll just click on Control or Command and Mark or Shift E. So once that's sorted, I'll pick on this tool here again. If you enjoyed this video, kindly consider subscribing to the channel, and don't forget to comment what you think about the video. If you have any suggestions to make these videos better, I'll be happy to hear you out in the comments. And also, if you have any questions or places you don't understand, I'll also be in the comments to answer and happy to help. Thank you for watching once again. Enjoy.